Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing Joe Burrow, who is now the number one graded quarterback at PFF, just ahead of Tom Brady. And of course, the questions are coming in. How is that possible? Joe Burrow doesn't have the best stats, and he's actually leading the league in interceptions with 14. So how is it possible, Sam? It's a great time for us to be able to explain the PFF grading system and why Joe Burrow right now is number one.
Yeah, love it. Great opportunity. To be fair, he's only tied for the league lead in interceptions with Ryan Tannehill and Trevor Lawrence with 14 apiece. What's really interesting, though, is that Joe Burrow is one of these players that's gotten very unlucky when it comes to turnover luck. He's got 14 interceptions. He's got 15 total turnover-worthy plays. Generally speaking, quarterbacks have significantly more turnover-worthy plays and they have actual turnovers, right? Think of the number of times you see defenders dropping interceptions, all those kinds of things. You're generally going to have way more turnover-worthy plays than you have turnovers. Both the other guys that he's tied on in terms of 14 interceptions, they each have more turnover-worthy plays. Tannehill has another 3. Lawrence has another 3 on top of Tannehill's. When you look at Joe Burrow's turnover-worthy play rate, it's pretty much middle of the pack. He is tied for 16th with Matthew Stafford, with Derek Carr, in the same kind of ballpark as some pretty good quarterbacks, some guys that don't turn the ball over at all or much at all. So point number one, the 14 interceptions, I think it's not a disingenuous number, but one of those interceptions is a dime that he threw to Jamar Chase that somehow bounced off Jamar Chase's hands backwards into the waiting arms of the cornerback that was like 1.5 yards behind him on the play. That could have been a touchdown, should have been like a 50-yard completion, ends up somehow being an interception against Joe Burrow. So he's gotten very unlucky with that. And yes, all quarterbacks have plays like that, but that's what the PFF system is doing, right? It's tabulating and accounting for all of them. And when you do that, Joe Burrow ends up significantly better off than that interception figure.
Yeah, every single year there's about a handful of big time throws that become interceptions. That's one of them. And a big time throw, again, in our grading system, it's one of our highest graded throws. More difficult throw, tighter window. When you throw a bomb and put it right on the receiver's hands, we're giving you the same credit, whether that gets caught and run for another 20 yards or whether it gets dropped or whether it gets dropped backwards for that interception. So Joe Burrow gets the same grade on that particular play that you're highlighting. There was another bomb to Jamar Chase, I think same game or the week before, where he throws it, puts it on his hands. Jamar Chase drops it in the end zone. So Jamar Chase has been great. But Joe Burrow's big-time throws are the thing that's elevating him. He's 4th in the league in big-time throw percentage. I do think Burrow, we're talking about a throw-by-throw system here, a play-by-play system here. The Bengals offense has done they have had games where they haven't asked a whole lot of Joe Burrow, but when they do that, they run the ball a lot, they throw the ball down the field, and he's had these opportunities to create big-time throws down the field, to create those highest-graded throws down the field, and he's been excellent. His accuracy has been great. That 49ers game, he hurts his finger, he still comes back, he's hitting deep outs, he's hitting deep comebacks, and he's hitting the intermediate level extremely well. So Burrow's accuracy has been great. His negatively graded plays aren't very high, and again, the interception total just does not match the actual turnover-worthy plays that Burrow has had so far.
The accuracy, I think, is the single most important point to bring up because he might have the best profile of any quarterback in the NFL in terms of just accuracy with the football this year. So, completion rate is nice. It gives you a very, very broad strokes idea of how a guy is doing, but we know it's driven by average depth of target. It's very susceptible to drops, all those kinds of things. So then you take it one step forward and you get to adjusted completion rate. And that's where we give you credit for a drop pass, right? The bomb that he hit to Jamar Chase drops it. We're going to give that as a completed pass to Joe Burrow and adjust the completion rate. We also strip out the things that aren't supposed to be targets, right? If you throw the ball away, you get rid of it intentionally, you're not targeting a receiver. It's never going to be a completed pass. So we get rid of that. We get rid of spikes. We get rid of those kinds of things. Because again, they're not intended to be completed. So when you do that, Joe Burrow goes all the way to an adjusted completion rate of basically 78%. That puts him 5th. But then we have an extra step beyond that, right? We have actual ball location charting data. So not just was it caught, was it incomplete, but where was it? Like, was it in perfect position? Was it on the guy's frame? Was it, incomplete? Was it uncatchable? Was it catchable but inaccurate. So Joe Burrow has where are we?
He's number one. He's number one with a minimum of 100 attempts from what I'm seeing in overall accuracy.
In overall accuracy, yeah. So number one on overall accuracy. Depending on where you set the cutoff, he's top 5 in the percentage of passes he throws that are just uncatchable. And then really critically, he's number 2 to Aaron Rodgers in perfect ball location accuracy as well. So almost very rarely misses a throw, makes it to the point where you just can't catch it. Generally speaking, is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL in terms of ball location, and is second only to Rodgers, who has this absurd lengthy highlight reel of absolute freakish dimes in terms of putting the ball in the absolute perfect spot location-wise for his receiver. I don't think there's a single quarterback in the NFL that has a more complete and better accuracy profile than Joe Burrow does this year.
'Tis the season of giving, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving you a Christmas present you won't want to re-gift. New customers can bet just $5 on any of the 4 NFL teams playing on Christmas and win $150 in free bets if they're victorious. Why not win some green and put some extra jingle in your pocket? If Sportsbook isn't yet available in your state, your Christmas can still be merry. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy football contests, and DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF. Bet just $5 on any NFL team to win on Christmas Day and win $150 in free bets if they're victorious. That's promo code PFF this Christmas at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. The other answer to this, too, Sam, is why is Joe Burrow the number 1 graded quarterback in the NFL? Well, it's because no one else has really claimed the spot. Tom Brady had a great week 1, right? I mean, Brady was great. Brady has been the number 1 quarterback wire to wire since week 1. He was great in week 1. He'd been ranked number 1 until this week. Has a rough game against the Saints. He drops to number 2. So the answer really is there has not been a true, far and away leader among quarterbacks this season, right? I mean, Kyler Murray's been up there. He's had a rough couple weeks. Justin Herbert is just kind of creeping back. He's been up and down. Patrick Mahomes, who you expect to be there, is not near the top this year. Patrick Mahomes is not playing. When you isolate his play versus the rest of the team, he's not playing great this year. Matthew Stafford's been inflated a little bit by his stats. Aaron Rodgers has 2 duds. He's got the same 2 duds that Tom Brady has. His just happened, a while ago, and Rodgers is just creeping back into the top 10 when it comes to our grading. So there just hasn't been dominant quarterback play this year, and Joe Burrow just happens to be the top guy right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. It was more him ascending to number 1. He was number 2 last week. Was more to do with Tom Brady having that disastrous game where he was shut out against the New Orleans Saints than it was for Joe Burrow doing anything special against Denver, for example. But he's been moving in that direction all the way through the season. He's been playing really well lately. The other thing I think that's an interesting sort of difference between Joe Burrow, the number 1 graded quarterback at PFF, and Joe Burrow, the guy at the helm of the Bengals offense that's, it's okay, it's not amazing, is, you talked before about protecting a quarterback and not asking him to do much and those kinds of things. And the Patriots have a lot of this with Mac Jones, but there's a fine line between protecting your quarterback and actually undermining him by the way you're doing that, right? The Bengals have the 4th highest run rate on 1st down of any quarterback or of any team in the NFL. They run 55% of those 1st downs. Conversely, when you get to 3rd down, you're in a little bit more trouble. So you need to turn the ball over to your quarterback and let him do his thing. And all of a sudden the Bengals are all the way down in, 9th position in terms of pass rate on 3rd down. So essentially this was the situation with Baker Mayfield, a couple of years ago, where you're every time you're putting Baker Mayfield in difficult positions by running the ball on 1st down and putting him in more 3rd and longs than he needs to be in. The Bengals are looking at the same thing with Joe Burrow. The number of times they run nowhere on 1st down, and then Burrow 2 downs later has got to try and make some magic happen and keep that drive going. They're trying desperately to
don't hide it. Just get Scout's take. I need Scout's take on Joe Burrow.
Trying desperately to protect him, but they end up undermining him.
On those third downs, Joe Burrow, number 6 raw PFF grade on third down, 85th percentile. And he's in the 89th percentile in both positively graded throws and avoiding negatively graded throws. So again, when you add that all up, Burrow's been fantastic when they need him, hasn't made a ton of mistakes, and he's added value where they've asked him to. So Joe Burrow, right now, the number 1 graded quarterback at PFF, despite tying for the league lead in interceptions, because we get the context for you here at PFF. It's the PFF NFL Daily.